Hello, welcome. Do you like my bookshelf? Hello and welcome. Happy November. I am sorry that it's been a hot minute since I've been here. I don't have an excuse. I will say I have been reading a lot. October was a good reading month for me. What can I say? And I want to recommend some books. I really do. I've read a lot of interesting stuff recently, and I want to kind of go through what I've read in the past month and recommend some things to you that I can't recommend to anyone else in my real life because I will get sectioned. So, all right. The first thing I read in October was Bones and All by Camille DeAngelis, which I actually have, I think, somewhere. Bones and All. Excuse me, my bedazzled copy of The Exorcist was in the way. I read Bones and All by Camille DeAngelis, and I read this in like 2 days. This was a really, really good book. I really got sucked into it. I haven't seen the movie. I've heard good things about it. Maybe I'll check it out. It's a story about a young woman who is a cannibal, born this way. She can't really control it. It's something that she struggles with. It basically starts after her parents leave her. They just like abandon her. They're like, we can't deal with this anymore. We're done. And she wakes up and there's nobody there. And she kind of goes to find them, and she's on this journey by herself to find her parents. And then she decides not to reconnect with them, but she does meet along the way a couple of other people who share her hunger and share her need to eat people. And it was dark. It was surprisingly moving. My eyes were watering during certain portions of this book, as well as, you know, a lot of it was kind of gross. There's some stuff with hair that really got me. I don't know if you've ever seen The Peanut Butter Solution. Don't watch it. But this book had some moments that were very very well written, very easy to read, like a quick read. It's just 300 pages, no, just under 300 pages. It makes you ask a lot of questions, and I think that was interesting. I love a book that makes you think about taboo subjects such as cannibalism and the fact that she's a young girl who literally can't control that impulse, and what that means for her and how she lives her life and the people that she comes across. Very interesting book. I would really recommend. The next one I read digitally, You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. I really like this book. Basically is about this trans man who is in this post-apocalyptic world. There's these like worm creatures. One thing I did struggle with this was the context of it. I really did have a hard time understanding the world we were living in. Like, it didn't even matter to me that I didn't really understand what was going on in the greater world, and that could totally be a comprehension problem on my part. These like worm things are like in charge. They go out on these hunts and like save people, and they bring them back to like their little communities. It's very like post-apocalyptic. It weirdly made me think of The Host by Stephenie Meyer. And if you know what I mean, if you've read The Host, all 1,000 pages of it, which I have, I don't know why. I had a library card and a lot of free time as a kid. Any of that, like the compound way, like how it was like in a little compound. I'm just speaking gibberish right now. Basically, this trans man named Crane, he is impregnated by his abusive boyfriend, who sucks and we hate. But like, Crane basically has a lot of like self-loathing issues, and he ends up being pregnant, and he's like, fuck no, I'm not carrying this baby. First of all, this is the post-apocalypse. I'm a man, and this is not something that I am prepared to deal with. He's like, I'm getting rid of this baby. And he tries to like reach out to people and make it happen, until the worm creature that like leads his compound or wherever he is like, actually, you're gonna have the baby. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that shit. Having to fight this otherworldly creature and all of the people in his life who were like, well, the worm said you had to have the baby, so you have to have the baby. Very gripping. It's, I think, especially considering like the current climate of the world, and how the rights of menstruating people are constantly being attacked and constantly being politicized and constantly being decisions are being made by people who don't menstruate. So I find that interesting, or people who can't get pregnant. I find that really interesting. Anyway, I thought this was a really, really engaging book. I thought the character of Crane was so engaging. I thought the idea is so horrifying. And pregnancy as body horror is not new. We've been having pregnancy as body horror. You know, you got like things like Rosemary's Baby, you've got things like The Omen, you've got like shit going on where it's like, this is a baby and it is a demon and it is going to kill you. I've never read it from the perspective of a trans man, and I thought it was so interesting to get that sort of like post-apocalyptic situation, this body horror, which I love body horror. I find it to be extremely engaging. Where we are in the world right now and writing about this issue that I just found to be very engaging, heartbreaking, and just a very, very good book. I would really recommend it, but I would say definitely look up some trigger warnings, obviously, besides what's obvious from my description there, but just, you know, make sure you're in the right headspace for it, I would say. But very good book, would definitely recommend if you're able. Okay, The Sluts by Dennis Cooper.
I think we should fire the sluts. I hope not all of the sluts.
You're not a slut, Justine. Stop trying to seem interesting.
I read this book in like one sitting. So this is a book that's written in the form of a internet like Reddit post kind of thing, like a board, like a message board. I usually have a hard time when it's internet posts. It's like text messages and books. I have a hard time with that as well. I think it's just because I'm dyslexic. I honestly, that's probably the only issue. I just find it hard to follow. This one I didn't have that much of a difficulty with, just because the posts were so big. Like, it wasn't like bouncing back and forth every sentence. Most of the time it was like larger posts. It was a little hard to keep track of all the characters and like the different perspectives, especially when like one character actually is like multiple characters and there's like, it's confusing. It's basically this message board where these people are talking about this hired prostitute whose name is Brad. And Brad is this like mythical being on this board. They're like, they describe him in so many interesting ways. Like, he's some sort of cryptid. And they talk about him in dehumanizing in horrible ways. But everybody's like back and forth on who Brad is. And is Brad even real? You start to question, is Brad real? Is the person who's like wrangling Brad real? Is Brad dead? Did this guy kill Brad? And it's just this disturbing deep dive into this underworld of internet prostitution. It was depraved, it was depressing. But I would say the mystery of trying to figure out, is Brad real? Very disturbing. Definitely not for the faint of heart. If you struggle with sexual violence, know that is the book. The book is just that. It is just description after description of sexual violence. It wasn't gratuitous for the sake of it, if you know what I mean. I think a lot of books you read and it's like, this is just violence for the sake of violence. Like, it's just for shock. Like, there's no value to it. I did find, and I wasn't sure going into it, I was like, this is on a lot of like disturbing book lists, and usually when they're on those, it's like splatter, nothing, garbage, where it's like, oh, baby got chopped up, huh? And it's like, that's not a book. Like, you just said baby got chopped up. Baby shoes never worn. Like, you're not, it's not creative, it's not clever, you're not giving anything, you know? But I found that this one had a lot of commentary on sex work, the dehumanization of sex workers, on male sex workers, on, like, it was just so fascinating. I think that they really did, Dennis Cooper did a great job of making everything there for a reason. Obviously, it's difficult to recommend to people. Anyway, I do think this is not for everybody, but if it sounds interesting, I'd say check it out. Again, trigger warnings. Stay safe out there, queens. Okay, this is very different. Clown in a Cornfield. I have had this on my TBR for a while. I don't know why. I just like couldn't get myself to read it. I kept picking it up and just not reading it. And it was fun. That's the best I can say about it. Especially after reading like some heavy books like Bones and All, You Weren't Meant to Be Human, The Sluts, and then being like Clown in a Cornfield. Very Halloween-y, very spooky, very slasher. If you're a fan of like a 90s, early 2000s slasher, I think you'd really like Clown in a Cornfield. Very predictable, but that's not a bad thing. It's kind of adds to the whole like slasher vibe of it. I thought the ending was outrageous. Like when it gets to the point where it's like, I don't want to spoil it because the ending is quite, it's a twist. I mean, I think you can kind of predict it right from the beginning, but a lot of pieces of it, not all of it, but it is fun. It is a fun little read. It does not take long. It's not a long book. I might go out and actually keep reading the series. I think there's 2 books right now. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't heard anything about it. Maybe it's good. Maybe I'll check it out. I think it reminded me a lot of Children of the Corn. I think a lot of it's a cornfield, so that helps. And generally like goofy slasher vibes. Very violent. That's fun. There's a little romance in it. It's very young adult horror. Nothing wrong with that. Quick and easy. I thought it was well written. I thought it was enjoyable. Very pulpy. Yeah, no, I'd recommend it. I saw this on a list of like disturbing books. I fell in a disturbing book rabbit hole. Maybe I'll do something on that eventually. I would say it doesn't qualify as disturbing in the general scheme of things. It's just a horror book, but maybe there's something in there that got to people. I don't know. You tell me. Technically, it's not in October. It was in September, but I'm going to count it because I read 3 Nick Cutter books in the course of 2 months, so I want to talk about them. I started with The Troop. I was really fascinated by it. I didn't realize this. I had heard a lot of things about it. I had no idea that it was set in the Maritimes, where I am from. I frequent Prince Edward Island. That's where my husband's from, and yeah, so it was kind of fun to have that sort of connection. It was just freaky, but kind of fun. I think the idea of a horror movie set on Prince Edward Island is a really good idea because it's like, you can't leave, man. You're stuck there. The plot of The Troop is this Boy Scout group goes to a kind of remoter island off of the coast of Prince Edward Island. And then this man kind of washes up on shore. Their troop leader finds him, and this man is not well. There's something up with him. There's something wrong with him. He is not well. The troop leader ends up being infected by something, and then it's just the boys on the island slowly kind of losing it a little bit. The Thing meets Lord of the Flies. They all start to wonder, like, who's infected? Are you infected? Am I infected? And it is so gross. The disease that gets you is like this thing that makes you hungry and you just want to eat, and they will eat anything, and they're like eating like dirt and poop and like rocks, and it's gross and it's disgusting, and like animals are eating everything. It's gross. It's very disturbing. Yucky, gross. Yucky, gross. No. Yuck. I did find the book to be very well written. There were sections where I had to just be like, okay, we're gonna take a second. I don't do well with worms. I don't do well with like maggoty things, like maggots and worms, and rotting. That, for some reason, really bothers me. I wonder why. This book has a lot of that. Definitely not for everybody. Don't eat while reading it. It was definitely engaging. I definitely wanted to know what happened. I was really invested in the mystery of it all. Nick Cutter's a pretty good author. I do find, and this does happen with a lot of authors. I didn't love the descriptions of fat people in this. I was like, okay, I see you, Nick. I see you. If you're looking for something disturbing and creepy, and potentially if you're a maritimer such as I, get your hands on it. It could be you in Prince Edward Island getting the brain worm that makes you want to eat. Then the next Nick Cutter book I read was The Deep, and I liked The Deep more than I liked The Troop. The Deep is really interesting. This is my kind of horror. I love a sci-fi horror. I love a sci-fi horror where it's like, it feels so real. I think that's why I loved a lot of Mike Crichton books. This one did make me think a little bit of Prey. The Deep, there's this veterinarian, and he gets this kind of call from his estranged brother who is a scientist who is currently at like the bottom of the ocean in a submarine conducting experiments. And they're like, he's gone crazy, he wants you. And he's like, why would he want me? He's never wanted me. He never liked me. He thinks I'm an idiot. He thinks that veterinarian work is stupid. He doesn't care about animals. He doesn't care about anything. Why would he want to talk to me? And they're like, yeah, I don't know. He wants to talk to you. we need him. Because there is this plague that has gone through the world that makes everybody like forget. And so everybody's kind of, they've got the gets is what they say. So you like forget everything and then you die. It's like very quick acting dementia in a way. And it happens to everybody. It can happen to anybody. Basically, like, it can happen to a child. It can happen to an adult. It can happen to an elderly person. It can happen to anybody. So the world is really counting on these scientists who are currently at the bottom of the ocean to find the cure for the gets. This veterinarian is like, okay, well, since it's like the world depends on it, I'll go. So even just the scenes of them like descending were so scary, and them being just everything that happens in the submarine when he's actually in it is terrifying because of the isolation. It's like a whole different form of isolation. It's not like you're in the wilderness. It's not like you're in the mountains. It's not like you're in Antarctica. You are in the ocean. That's like being in space. Like, you're so far down, we don't even know it's down there. And that's kind of the point. He finds his brother and some other scientists that are down there. They've kind of started to go a little loopy. And there is this substance they find that has these powers. It's called, I think they call it ambrosia, and it's very enticing. It's very hypnotic substance that he like seems to like take control in a way. But it potentially holds the cure for this disease. There's a lot of like eldritch horror vibes. Like, I don't know if you know, like, it's kind of, it gets kind of Lovecraftian at a point. There's like a portal, like a big hole in a wall that just like keeps getting bigger, and whatever's through it ain't good. We know it's not good, and the brother starts sending stuff through this hole. It's very interesting. I don't want to spoil anything because I think this is one people will really enjoy. Keep an eye out for mentions of or inferences, I guess, of childhood sexual abuse. And I can't remember if it ever gets explicit. It might. I read this a little while ago, so I'm not sure. But I'm just definitely check out the trigger warnings first. Just be safe. The last Nick Cutter book that I read was Little Heaven, which I did like. I didn't like it as much as the other two. I think I liked the idea of it. One of the quotes that really got me was just the concept of hell is a box. I thought that was really interesting. I had a hard time figuring out the timeline. I don't know what it was specifically about the way that this was written. It switches between two different timelines, and I couldn't figure out either of the timelines. Like, I couldn't picture in my head what decade we were in. And I'm sure it's just a me thing. But I had such a difficult time being like, is this the 60s, the 80s, or are we in like Western times? But I did enjoy it. A cult story mixed with like Lovecraftian vibes. I'm trying to think of like something to compare it to. Like, I think of The Ritual. I think of Midsummer. And I think it's definitely got like a Stephen King-y vibe to it. Good writing, well done. Again, the timeline thing was just really what threw me. Oh, I also read, I'd never read Grady Hendrix before, but I read How to Sell a Haunted House, which I was really surprised by. I really enjoyed it. I'm not like a huge fan of horror comedy. That's not usually my gig. But this was both funny and scary. And I felt like it wasn't as funny as it was scary, which I think really helps. The idea of like a puppet ministry in a church already horrifying. Like, I was picturing the Donut Man levels of puppetry. I think that was effective. I really liked it. I hadn't read any Grady Hendrix before, so I might actually continue to read it. Like, I might read another one of his books. This is the one of his that to me sounded the best, and I wanted to give him a try. So maybe I'll find another Grady Hendrix. Any recommendations, I would be more than happy to pick up on. So those are my horror books to recommend that I've read in the past, this past spooky season. Any recommendations, I'm always all ears for. Basically, these were some books I wanted to recommend that I couldn't necessarily recommend to people in my own personal life and thought maybe you guys would like them. I also just have been wanting to talk about them. I'd love some recommendations for like a Christmas wintry horror. Last year I read The Shining during this time, and it was like the perfect time to read The Shining. So anything like kind of under that vibe I think would be really good. And thank you for watching, and please appreciate my shelf that I built myself. I'm very proud of her. So thank you for watching. I have to take my curls out and hope I don't look crazy. I have trivia tonight.
The ship was the pride of the American side, coming back from Sunville in Wisconsin, as the big freighters go.